Hello! Welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds and a happy Halloween to one and all. Right, I can't very well upload a YouTube video on Halloween Day and not have a puzzle that fits the theme. So for today I have for you, it's a Ravensburger puzzle and it is one of their exit puzzles. So this is it here. It is 759 pieces. And I've never done a puzzle like this before, so this is going to be completely new for me. Now, this is one of those jigsaws that's kind of what I call like a puzzle within a puzzle. So you get different types. You can obviously get murder mystery ones and things like wasgages where you don't know what the image is and things like that. This is different again. This is an exit puzzle, so it's like an escape room type thing, I think. So the image on the box is, as you can see here, and it is called Witch's Kitchen. So suitably Halloween-y for you today. We can see a black and white cat sitting on the little stool there. We've got a witch's hat in the corner. We've got a pumpkin. We've got a cauldron and all of the ingredients for spells and things, presumably, sitting there on the desk. We've got a bat. We've got, there's all sorts of things in there. So there's a lot going on. Now then, before I crack open the pieces of this puzzle, I'm first going to remove the lid and have a wee look inside because from what I have read, there is a, on the box that is, there is a sheet with instructions, which I assume is this here, and an envelope with the solution in, which is here. So I'm going to just put that down for now. A bit soon to be rushing to the envelope. Right, the Witch's Kitchen. I found the English language instructions. So here is what it says. As a forage chef, you are walking through the woods foraging for mushrooms on a sunny afternoon in autumn. You have just found a unique mushroom, which you cut from the ground and put in your basket. The mushroom looks quite delicious. You are unable to resist it and take a little bite. Suddenly, you feel dizzy and fall to the ground in front of a large old tree. You realize that you have poisoned yourself and need a quick remedy. Suddenly, the ground beneath you gives way and you feel yourself falling. You wake up in a gloomy room that looks like a witch's kitchen. Perhaps you will find the remedy here. Where could it be? How will you create it? Your time is running out. So that's the backstory. And underneath that, it says, time to start. Now it is time to put the puzzle together and watch your image emerge. The rectangular pieces in the bag are not a part of the puzzle and can be discarded. When you have finished, look for the mysteries and hidden clues to figure out your escape. Best of luck. Note, the image on the package is different from the actual puzzle image. 8 mysteries are hidden within the puzzle for you to solve. Tip for finding the answer, pay attention to the edges. If you get stuck, you can find help here. escape-puzzle-support.com. Right, okay. Well, I'm getting a bit nervous about doing this now. It says on here that the difficulty is 2 out of 5. So I'm hoping that I at least manage to figure out some of the clues. And don't look like a complete numpty when I'm doing this, but I have never done one of these before, so it's new to me, completely new. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not really sure what the point is of putting in rectangular pieces and then telling you to discard them. I find that a bit odd, but I'm just going to take this video one step at a time and just approach this kind of one bit at a time, and we shall take it from there. Ooh, I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so here it is, the Ravensburger exit puzzle, The Witch's Kitchen. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I just tipped these all out, and already I am noticing there are actually a lot of these rectangular pieces. A lot of pieces to discard, and I really don't know why they would even put them in there if you're supposed to just discard them. There's also an L-shaped piece. Is that included in the rectangular pieces? Or am I supposed to keep the L-shaped piece? Mysteries abound already, but I gotta say, these rectangular pieces are making it hard to find edge pieces, because every time I think I've found one, then I realise it's a rectangle. But I found a few edge pieces. And the other thing I have noticed at this early stage is a lot of pieces with writing on. I mean, I'm not sure about that. Is that the Greek alphabet letters? I've got some moon symbols, numbers, a little bit of a word there. I mean, there's pieces like this with numbers on. So this is going to be really interesting. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to work it out, but it's looking good so far. I'll get this thing built. That's my next step. So I'll just try and stop overthinking it and get it built, and we will see what we see. Sorting wise, I've not really distinguished many piles. They're the edges, and that's another thing I've noticed. Only the edges seem to have these bright green numbers on them. I've not seen the bright green numbers on any other pieces except the edges. That's not bright green, but again, these kind of random numbers are only to be found on the edge pieces. The other pile of pieces that I have separated are any I could find with writing on. Some of the writing is not legible to me. Some is English letters, but do not spell out words that I recognise. Some are numbers. So they're going to be interesting to put together and see what we find there. That's a small pile of pieces that I put to one side. It's kind of the brightest colour I could find, really. Aside from these kind of potion bottles, I picked out these sort of beige coloured pieces. And these are all pieces with herbs and leafy kind of plants on them. So I'm going to just get on with the edge now. I mean, there's obviously still a lot of pieces here I haven't sorted, but I'm going to get on with the edge, try and piece these bits together, and then just kind of pop the rest in as best I can. Okay, so after quite a lot of changing pieces around, I finally managed to get the border together. It actually took me a really long time to do, longer than I was expecting. And in the end, I had to refer to the box, the picture, to see where things were. What I was finding, first of all, I was a little bit fooled by these numbers, because I thought or assumed that the numbers would sit in the puzzle the right way around. So I naturally assumed this one here, which actually goes at the bottom, would go at the top, because it says 603 and it's upside down. Like that one there, that's up sideways, 4821. So I naturally assumed that would go over here on this way, like these numbers are. That one's the right way round. That one is, that one is. So that was the first thing that kind of fooled me. But secondly, these pieces are all the same shape. So all pieces like that are the exact same shape as each other. So they all fit in nicely in places where they don't belong. And the same goes for these ones. Obviously the corners are slightly different, but even they took me a while to figure out which corner I was putting them in. And mostly I was thrown by these green, kind of mossy green colours. because there was a lot of that shade, and I was putting them together and they looked right, and I could not understand why one side was longer than the other, and I thought at first that I was missing a load of edge pieces. So I went back through the pieces and I found one, one that I'd missed. So I thought, okay, clearly I'm doing something wrong. And yeah, it took quite a lot of undoing and looking really closely and redoing. And finally looking at the box, I realised that this bit, which I initially had over here, actually belongs over here. This red box here, I had somewhere around here, and actually it goes over here. Oh God, it was a mess. It was a mess. So yes, the joys have now got to fill in the middle, and I've already had chaos with the outside, but never mind, it's done now. So here we are, the border on my Ravensburger exit puzzle is finished. So let's get on with filling out the rest. Okay, so I'm going to keep the camera where it is just for now. And I'm going to start off by just looking at the puzzle itself. I've got my pad and pencil. And I've already written down all these numbers on the edge pieces. There are a series of different numbers. Just on the edge pieces, there's one on every corner piece. And I've just written down all the numbers, marked which ones are corners, which ones are on the top, which ones are on the right, which ones are on the left, which ones are at the bottom. Now, I do not know the significance of these numbers just yet. They appear to be random, but it does say in this booklet, tip for finding the answer, pay attention to the edges. Now there is a QR code there that I can scan if I get stuck, but I'm not going to click that yet because there's obviously a lot more to see in this puzzle. So first of all, I just want to kind of look at the differences between the box picture and between the puzzle itself. So firstly, the biggest thing I've noticed is that the cat is now gone. In the box puzzle, there's a cat sitting on this stool and it's now not there. Some of these playing cards on the floor have been scattered, and this parchment here is now unrolled. Frog's moved a little bit. This appears to be the same. We've got an open drawer here, whereas they're all closed here. All the candles are still lit. This book looks as though it's been read, or at the very least, no, the pages haven't been turned, or maybe they have. This diagram here is a bit higher up on the book on the box, so it's further down here, and this bookmark here has moved. So this book has been leafed through at the very least. This book's been looked at because it's turned round. So yeah, I mean, some of these I just noticed as I was doing the puzzle, but there's actually quite a lot jumping out as being different. I'm seeing a lot of numbers on this. Like on these books, for example, they're numbered. These books. There's numbers on this parchment. There's numbers on this clock, which... Oh, it's not a clock. It's the back end of the frying pan, but I can only see the front side on the picture. So there's numbers on the bottom of the... I thought it was a clock. Then we've got... There's... Seeing some... I don't know what these are. Are these Greek letters? Ah, okay. This is starting to come together. Right, so scattered across the puzzle, I have spotted things like, for example, this here, which looks like a wonky F, and it says the wonky F equals A. There's one there. There's also one on the cauldron here. It's an up pointing arrow, and that equals T. There's one here on the side of this open drawer. M equals E. Another one here. Each of these symbols corresponds to a letter, and all these symbols are in this book. So I am going to, in a minute, go away and try and work out what these words are, what they say. There's another one up here and up here. Oh, they're all jumping out at me now. Another thing I've noticed is that before there was an owl in this cage and now it's empty. There is an owl here that wasn't there before, but that appears not to be the same owl. That owl's black. That one's white. The crow and the bat are still there. This big crocodile's still there. Let's see if anything else has moved. This piece of grey paper here looks as though that's been moved and then screwed up. This drawer appears to be the same. Now then, there are shapes on top of these bottles. There's a triangle there, a square, a hexagon and a circle. I've also seen some shapes here. I don't know what the significance of those is. These numbers here have a question mark. I think I may have worked out what that number is. It scares me that there's a lot of numbers on this puzzle, because if it was letters, I'm a little bit more letter-minded than I am number-minded. But I think I have worked out what that number is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away, because I need to write all this down. There's a lot in this puzzle that I'm noticing. So I'm going to write all this down and I will talk you through it, or at least what I've come up with so far. If you do not wish to see me working it out or hear my musings on this, then by all means switch off now. I don't know if you maybe have this puzzle yourself and you'd rather work it out for yourself, but if you'd like to follow this along with me and see how I get on, then yeah, please enjoy. I'm going to start making some notes. Right, I think I've already worked out, even without all the letters, that these are the names of some of the books scattered across the room. So I've just found what L is. That's here. And there's another one here. And I've just found what H is. Haggle. Othala. So I need to find that one and that one. Okay, so I've worked out what they all are. I found them all scattered across the puzzle. And actually, interesting point, whilst I was looking for that symbol there, I spotted where the cat went. If you look there, you can see a little tail peeking out from behind that root. Because we're under an oak tree, aren't we? Or a big tree, I think. So I don't know if it's just sitting on the root or if there's a little gap there where it can get out. But anyway, I found all the pieces, and these 3 words here translate into the words Taiwaz, Haggle, and Othala. Now, the word I recognised was Othala, because that is the name of that book there, which is lying on the floor, and it has the number 4 beside it. Now, Taiwaz is here, and so is Haggle. Now, they are number 8 and number 3. So, if I do it in order, Taiwaz would be first, that would be 8, then 3, and then Othala, which would be 4. So 8, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm now just going to look and see if there's a number 834 along the edge. There. There's an 834 there. And it's sideways on. Okay. I'll see if I can find any other 834s. I don't think any of those numbers are repeated. Now, I did spot that this potion here is number 83. But then, does that mean I'm looking for 4 on its own? Uncertain. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go off and have another look and see what I can find. Okay, so because 834 is oriented this way, I've turned the puzzle 90 degrees. So 834 is the right way up. I thought perhaps I'm supposed to look at this from a different angle and spot something, but honestly, I have not spotted anything that jumps out at me as being kind of obvious from angling it this way. So I'm going to pause that particular train of investigation, and I'm going to have a look at some of the other things I've noticed, which may possibly lead me to some more clues. So I've been having a good look around this puzzle, and I've been making lots of notes. So, firstly, there's a puzzle to be solved here because there's a bunch of numbers, but 2 of them have been scratched away by the cat. So the best guess is that I'm supposed to work out what those numbers are. Now, having written it down in my book, I figured out that the number on the outside of the star is the answer to these 2 numbers multiplied. So 6 times 5 is 30, 4 times 3 is 12, and so on. Now this one was scratched out, so I just did 8 times 7, and that comes to 56. That was the first number that I'd managed to figure out. These numbers, the only pattern I could see was that the next number along going clockwise was lower by 4. So but that could be -3, I suppose, but I think it's more likely to be 17. So I just added 4 to that. So I got 17 from that. Now, this parchment down here, it's kind of like algebra, I think. So you've got a bunch of symbols and then an answer to the equations, and obviously you have to try and work out what numbers the symbols are. So you've got 3 of the same symbol here making 90, so I worked that out as being 30. Then if that's 30 and that's 40, and these are both the same symbols, and I worked out that these are 5. And then the same here, that's 5, so that must make these 19, which makes that 41. So then there's an equation at the bottom. We know that's 5, we know that's 30. There's only one moon there. So I just halved 19 and got 9.5, and this sum here makes 290. Now there is a random number 420 written here, assuming that is a 0. It might be something else. And there's some symbols here that are behind this compass, so I don't even know if they are significant, but I'm basically getting numbers from this. So I've got 290 from that, I've got 56, and I've got 17 from the cushion. I got 834 earlier from these 3 book numbers. And the number 90 I got from, so the frying pan, you've got 60 there, and then on either side of it you've got 6 and 10. So 60 is the answer to the equation 6 times 10. And we've got the same thing here. So you've got 30 in between 6 and 5. So that 6 and 5 comes to 30. And it's the same here. 9 times 5 is 45. So assuming that you're timesing these numbers together, then that number becomes 90. So I've got 90 there. So I've got this group of numbers, but I don't know what they're supposed to correspond to. We've also got a 6 of spades and a 5 of diamonds card there. Don't know if they're significant. I still haven't figured out what these clues are supposed to be referring to, if they are clues at all. I feel like I'm sort of working out equations really, but not really understanding quite what I'm supposed to do with the answers. Another thing I've noticed as well is that there's an 834 around the edge. There's a 56, so 834's there. 56 is there. There's a 17 there, there's 17. But I've not been able to find, I don't think I've found 90, and I don't think I've found 290 either. Does that 420 mean anything? Very frustrating. I sort of feel like I'm getting somewhere and then go backwards a bit, or at least to a standstill. So again, I need to have a think. I thought perhaps the numbers around the edge might point to a specific piece. So like if I took 834 and then another number, say 15, just for example, and then kind of met the pieces where they meet, I thought it might point to a jar or something that I'm supposed to take to cure myself of this mushroom poison, but it doesn't appear to be the case. So it's a tricky one, this one. I'm pretty close to scanning the QR code, I will be honest, but I will give it just a little more time and thought and see if I can't work anything else out from this puzzle. So I've written down everything that seems significant. Those are the fireplace symbols. These ones here. The only other place I have seen shapes is on these jars here. But they don't all correspond. I don't see a heart shape anywhere else. And I mean, that M is like not a complete M. It's like this symbol and then that symbol reflected. So is that referring to these letters corresponding to the letter L, which would make sort of like a square, but not quite. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that. Then we've got this shape here. Don't know what that's supposed to mean. That's a triangle. So, I mean, there is a triangle there, but that's the only one that I can see. There's various numbers on all these books. But again, the books have been directly referred to. So I don't know if the other books are just red herrings. So I had 5 numbers by this stage, but I knew that there were 8 mysteries to solve. So there were obviously 3 that I was still missing. I did not understand the mystery of the shapes on top of the jars. I did not know what the numbers on the jars on the shelf referred to, and I did not know what the symbols underneath the fireplace referred to. So I scanned the QR code and I checked the hints, and I'm going to go over those just now. So as you can see from this picture, they've highlighted where the clues are, and I did successfully find all 8 clues to solve. So there's the row of jars on the shelf, there's the frying pan, there's the carvings on the fireplace, the book in the middle of the room, there's 2 numbers to be found on the stool, there's the parchment on the floor, and there's the shapes on top of the jars. So 5 of these clues I was successful in working out, except one. On the parchment that you can see here, I had worked out the symbols up to a point and then just completely messed up my adding and got the wrong number and then come up with the number 290 when it was actually supposed to be 275. But I was on the right track with that. So I can safely say that 5 of the 8 numbers were figured out by that point by myself, but 3 of them I just could not fathom. So those 3 were the jars on the shelf. What you were supposed to do here was work out the logic behind the progression of numbers from 7 to 2, 2 to 16, 16 to 11, and so forth. And as it turns out, you were supposed to first take away 5 and then times by 8, and then keep repeating that until you get the final number. So 7 take away 5 is 2. 2 times 8 is 16, 16 take away 5 is 11, 11 times 8 is 88, and so on and so forth. So what you eventually get is to 83, and you have to times that by 8, and the answer comes to 664. So that is the next number in the series. With the jars, with the shapes on the lids, what you're supposed to do here is count the number of corners in the shape. So you've got a hexagon which has 6 corners, a circle which has 0, you've got a triangle which has 3, and you have a square which has 4. Now to work out the order of the numbers, you have to look at these jars here, which is yellow, blue, green, and orange, and then put the numbers in order according to the colours on the shape jars. So the number you end up with is ultimately 4036. So that is the next number. So now with the fireplace symbols, what you're supposed to do here is cover up half of the symbol, and you realise then that it reveals a number. So the heart with the line under it becomes a 2, the M becomes a 1, the circle with the T above it becomes a 5, and the triangle becomes a 7. So the number then becomes 2157. Right, so the time has come to reveal the answer. Unfortunately, I was not able to work out what to do with those 8 pieces from around the edge of the puzzle. I tried various different things and just could not figure out what I was supposed to do with those pieces. I had various ideas, but none of them seemed to come up with any logical or obvious answer. So I'm just going to open the envelope and we will work out from that what I was supposed to do. So I'm just ripping it open just now. Okay, so there's nothing else in there, just one slip of paper. Oh. Okay. I get it. Right, I'm going to put up a photograph for you just now of the answer. So as you can see from this picture, the 8 numbers from around the edge of the puzzle made up a small box, if you will. And now I did actually put the pieces like that, but just couldn't really understand what I was supposed to do with that. But looking at it now, it does look as though the pattern kind of lines up-ish. The puzzle piece isn't the exact same shape, which I think is probably one of the things that threw me, because I did move it a bit around the puzzle, but I was thinking that if it was going to reveal anything, it would reveal a piece that was the exact same shape. And, well, obviously, in the end, it doesn't, but it does match sort of the pattern around the edge. I'm not sure if I would have figured that out or not. Possibly I would have, given more time. But, yeah, maybe not. Not sure, but no, it's frustrating that I didn't come up with the answer on my own. I think part of my problem with these is that I tend to look for the more complicated answer and then just end up making life a bit difficult for myself and completely overlook the simplest things, really. I mean, I had scenarios where I was taking the pieces out of the edge and thinking I would have to kind of imagine a line connecting all the areas where there was gaps, and then thinking that where the lines crossed, there might be a point at which I was supposed to look at the puzzle and see something obvious. I thought about that, and then I thought perhaps that the vertical and the horizontal line where the missing pieces were on the left and right, and also the top and the bottom, I thought maybe that where the lines met would reveal a piece that had some significance, but even doing that, they were just random pieces. But obviously that's because that wasn't the right answer. And I was going through things like that, thought processes like that. Obviously the frame had something to do with it. And I was trying different shapes and different ways of putting the pieces together, but nothing was really kind of obvious to me. And I think I was just making it too complicated. Oh well, never mind. But having said all of that, I did manage to solve some of the mysteries. Now, there were 8 in total, and I did notice where the mysteries were to be found, all of them. The only thing I didn't figure out was what some of the answers were. So I managed to figure out the parchment and the equations on the parchment, what that number was. I managed to figure out the books and the number that was made up from the books. I could tell that I managed to figure out the little red stool and what those numbers were supposed to be. I could tell that the shapes on top of the jars were supposed to be something. I don't know if I ever would have come to the conclusion to count the corners. Maybe given time, if I'd have given myself time to sit and mull it over, possibly. And then in addition, looking at the jars on the right-hand side to work out the order of the numbers according to the colours. I don't know if I'd have worked that out or not, but I could tell that it was something to be worked out. I could also tell that the scratchings on the fireplace were something to be worked out, probably would eventually have figured out that I just have to cut the numbers in half, and I would see a figure there. But yeah, I probably would have worked that out eventually. But yeah, I managed to decipher the book. I managed to decipher the parchment. I managed to decipher the stool. Oh, and there was the jars on the shelf, and you had to figure out what the next number in the chain would be. With that one, I would have figured that out eventually. And the reason I'm saying that is because my unobservant eyes, I just didn't even notice that there was a bottle with a scraped out label at the far end, and that I was looking for the missing number at the end, like the next one in a chain of numbers. And I just didn't even pick up on that. Like, whereas, the scratches on the stool where the cat had been and scraped out the numbers, that I picked up on. But for some reason, I just didn't pick up on the fact that there was like a missing number on one of the jars. I just didn't see it. I was too fixated on the numbers themselves. But I think I would have worked that out eventually. I do think I would. I can give myself that much credit. And I will say this, even though it was heavily numerical, kind of relied heavily on mathematical equations and things like that. It was all about the numbers. Numbers aren't really my strong suit. I'm not terrible at maths, but it isn't my forte, shall we say. But I did manage to figure some of the numerical things out. So, pleased with myself about that, but also a little bit frustrated that I didn't work it out. But I think given time, I probably would have. But, I didn't really have a great deal of time, really. So I had to sort of, had to use the hints in the end. But the frame, I don't know if I'd have worked that out to frame the flower in there. I think, again, just my tendency to overcomplicate things got in the way a bit there. But anyway, now you know the answer. And now I know roughly how these escape room puzzles work. I mean, I'm sure they're all very different, but, at least I've got an idea of what to look for next time, because I will do another one of these puzzles. I really, really enjoyed it. And the puzzle itself, actually, was really fun to do. The edge was problematic. I explained that at the start. And even when I'd started doing the middle, I couldn't figure out why there was a piece that seemed to go in right next to the book, but then wouldn't fit in with the edge, because I'd got it in the wrong darn place. Even then, I'd got edge pieces in the wrong place. So aside from the edge, all the middle of the puzzle, the whole picture and everything was really, really, really good fun to put together. And when you're looking at pieces that closely, you're seeing more and more of the image and some of the little details and things like that, like all different aspects of a witch's kitchen. So I was seeing, like, I don't know, mandrake roots and like parchment and quills and like crow's feet, and it was brilliant. It's just a really lovely detailed picture. It's a shame that the cat isn't in the final picture, but it's just part of the escape room puzzle itself. So I wasn't too worried about that. But like, I thought that it was an amazing quality puzzle. I have to hand it to Ravensburger. This is the first Ravensburger puzzle I've actually done on my channel. It's not the first Ravensburger puzzle I've done completely, but on the channel it is. And it's been quite a while since I've done a Ravensburger, and the pieces were just really nice and chunky. The lovely vibrant blue card at the back, amazing quality. There was absolutely no chance of the picture peeling off. It was really glued down really well. It was just everything you'd expect from a Ravensburger. It was a joy to do. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I just wish I could have got a few more of the answers myself, but never mind. C'est la vie. So all I really need to do now is thank you very, very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it and that this perhaps encourages you to go out and buy maybe another escape room puzzle and try it for yourself. And I will See you next time I do a video. Hopefully that will be next week. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye for now. Happy Halloween!